I'll work with her one day. She's like, I see that little thing when you look more.
Exactly. I'm not trying to do that. I'm not trying to take people off like that.
But no, yeah. And then for people who I really want to read the book, I want everyone to read the book. Right. I will say that while writing it, there was a special place in my heart for young Black girls. I just want them to be able to pick it up and have it as an option. I just want it to be an option for them
to explore themselves.
Yeah. That's really important to me. So yeah,
we need all the stories we can get. To be honest. Okay, so you have a great chapter in your book about Holly. Yes, which is a progressive elementary school that you went to, the Center of Black History, and then you have, of course, during your show, Abbott Elementary. So it also takes place in the school. Could you tell us what school, the education kind of world means to you, and kind of how it fostered who you are?
Yeah.
I feel like it's kind of been like a through line, if you will.
Like that editor's But education was more important to me than I realized. Like, after writing this book, I was like, man, I care a lot about education. Like, so much in this book is about school.
I feel you.
And I loved school. My mom was a teacher.
We bonded about that.
Both public school mom teachers and
public school teachers.
Moms.
That one.
Mom school publics. They were. But that made such a huge impact on me. Like, seeing what my mom really did, like riding in the car with her after school, being with her, until sometimes the wee night hour. Like, she used to be at school till 8, still doing stuff.
Yeah.
It had an impact on me. I knew how much she cared. And then for my unconventional schooling, for me as a young Black girl in Philadelphia, where the odds were I could get pregnant or shot pretty easily, school kept me on the right path. My parents too are wonderful people, but school was a huge part of why I became the way I am. I think my primary schooling, and I think that the first school I went to was called a Holly, and it means family in Swahili, but it was a village learning school on top of the public school I went to. And it was grades 1 through 5. My teachers were Umi and Mwangozi, and they taught all 5 grades. And a lot of the time we were taught together. So the second graders and the first graders would have the same classes, as long as it didn't affect the overall curriculum. Mm-hmm. But the thing that was the most incredible about that school, especially in relation to some of the conversation that's happening now about critical race theory, is that school led with Black history. Our entry point to everything was everything, and I mean everything, was Black history. So we didn't learn one subject without them saying, today we're going to learn, the multiplication table. And the funny thing about that is, these are the women who put the men on the moon, and then they would show us the women, and then we get to learn the math lesson. And then
I love that.
Other days, it was instead of Cinderella on movie day, we had to watch Amistad in first grade, which I know, but
it was strong.
It was strong.
But we're getting educated.
We were getting educated, or I talk about it in the book, but our trip to, we did a boat building trip, and it was really cool.
Did y'all build a boat?
We built 5 boats in one big boat. Our children. We went to a boat working job, and it was crazy. But when we got there, they're like, "We're going to build boats." We're like, "Okay, cool." And then my teachers were like, "Because that's how slaves were brought in this country." And it was just like,
that is not fun.
it's not what it is. But that's how I said it.
Listen.
It was the way I said it. Yeah, no, it's not funny. But the eyes, I know. If they would, they would just be like, we'd be like.
I'm glad that they connected shit for y'all.
They connected everything, and that for me when I was younger, what I think it did was gave me a way to navigate through this world, knowing exactly what this world is.
Right.
At a very young age, I knew how horrible colonialism was and how horrible things had been for Black people in this country. In first grade, I mean, they pulled no punches. It didn't make me an angry kid. It made me be aware. And I was like, all right, well, cool, good to know. I mean, I gotta live here. I wasn't moving. My family wasn't moving. So I think
a padding for the trauma to come.
Yeah.
And at least knowing that it's there.
And instead of also, it wasn't just trauma all the time. we knew that like a black man invented the traffic light. It was a lot of pride in a lot of the small things. So instead of the entryway to everything being white American standard, it was black American standard and Native American. They talk a lot about the indigenous people and everything. And I just think it's a good model for schooling. And I think that, you know.
Shout out to Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Fuck you. But we need critical race theory, man. I mean, we gotta know through the lens. And it's not about separating people.
It's about talking about the actual history of the country. And like, we can do that and it won't be bad. I think
the real history, you know.
It would, even for
it's okay, the real
history. I would have friends who like went to like college, black friends who went to college, and it was the first time that they actually got to learn about the slave trade in this country. If they took an African American studies course, and it's like that's even so far removed for a lot of like black people from their history because it's not being taught.
Right.
So you shouldn't be just finding that out in college.
Right. Of course. I mean, it's such an integral part to the reason why things are the way that they are.
Right.
Is that like us denying history and us rewriting history from the lens of imperialism and white supremacy, patriarchal colonizer bullshit.
It creates more confusion and anger, honestly.
And in the South, that really happened. They really rewrote a lot of shit during the Civil War. Like the Daughters of the Confederates, they went into all those school systems and were just like, no, we can't talk about that.
The Daughters of the Confederates are
that doesn't make us look
crazy.
They like to take. My daddy was way nicer.
They rebranded to like Disney in South Carolina. The Daughters of the Confederate. I stayed in a hotel that was across the street from their and they're like, come on in. I was like, no. Since when? What do you mean, come on in?
Did you see that fucking flag picture?
What? And they've turned into this whole, they've rebranded. They're like, no, we're for everyone. Come on into the gift shop. No. It's like, what's happening? But that's what you can get away with when you just rewrite
history.
And so, you know, that was my schooling. And then, you know, I think I included it in the book almost 2 years ago now. So it was before this critical race theory conversation was kind of happening. Mm-hmm. But I'm happy it's there now so that people can even see it from a, I don't know, in the mainstream it has such a debate, you know, look.
Everything's a hot topic in this mainstream world.
And in my book it's not a hot topic.
Yeah.
It's here's the school I went to and I loved it and it set me up for success.
Yeah, for understanding.